Hello, John.
No, whatever.
So today we're going to talk about the recent legislation in regards to landlords.
Yes, there's been recent legislation introduced, and this only came to light, I think, when I was talking to a solicitor recently, because I have a property for sale that my late wife and myself used to own, an apartment. But he mentioned, which is the first I heard about it, it might have been in the news media, that the government have introduced a system limiting the increase that landlords can impose each year to 4%. That's the only way they can increase it by 4%. Now we know in Dublin that the rents are extraordinarily high, and perhaps from that point of view it mightn't be a bad thing. But in other parts of the country, in towns not that far from Dublin, some of the rents are a lot lower. And the solicitor mentioned an individual that was pretty well disposed towards people that was renting, and he was charging €400 a month for a 3-bedroom house. But he's just retired and finds now that he can't increase it only by 4%. So he intends to sell the house, and he has to give these people living in it 6 months' notice to vacate, and there's no guarantee that will happen in this case because of the low rent, comparatively low rent by comparison with others. So limited to 4%. Now the upshot of it is apparently that landlords now are putting properties on. Oh yes, part of the reason for it is this, as I say, the government have introduced this, which is the European norm apparently. But the big difference is here in Europe, tax on landlords is 15% on what they charge or something. But tax here is 48%. So this is not something that's that well publicised. 48%. So there's no incentive now for landlords to actually have properties for rent, according to what I've been told. And so therefore there are properties now coming on the market that might otherwise have come. And so therefore it could affect the market. In other words, downwards.
Yes.
Because there is a school of thought that reckons that the increasing price of property in the cities, particularly Dublin, is kind of not healthy, and that there's going to be a downturn. So between the combination of what the government have done as regards landlords, and the kind of likelihood that prices will deteriorate, and when they do then rents go down. But the government has interfered with it in this way, except as I say, their tax is 48% versus 15%. We know that we pay a lot more for items in this country than they do in other countries. For example, we mentioned car tax earlier. In France there's no car tax, it's the petrol or the diesel that you buy pays for that, and it's cheaper than the petrol and diesel is cheaper in France than it is here.
So so the tax is put into the petrol, combined, is it?
Well, yes, it's you don't pay car tax.
Yeah.
So therefore you don't have that consideration. That's the way it was. Now I presume it's still that way. That's the way it was a few years ago until I was in it.
Which also means there's no administration for administrating the tax list.
Correct. And that's the way to do it. And as I say, their petrol and diesel is cheaper than here, because I drove over there.
Yeah.
Hopefully I'll be going there again next year. I'll be having a car that will be able to hold a bit of stuff, more than what I have. Now, so that is the situation as regards what this business of tax is. Now, as far as I'm concerned, it's a very serious implication for people that are renting, and it's also a serious implication for the property market as well. for ones that are selling legitimately, that might want to move up to a higher standard, or some other reason, like in my case, in the fact that death of my dear darling wife. So that's why the apartment is for sale that we used ourselves. Weren't renting it. That's the situation now that this government has introduced. So I think they're not alone, they're interfering with the rental market, and then ipso facto with the sale of houses, with the property market. So there's a twofold danger here that I see, if what I was told is true, and I'm feeling it is true.
There you go. Thanks very much, Sean.
Thank you very much, Oliver.